Hello, everyone. A few days ago, I penned an irritated tweet in response to one of the latest happenings on the increasingly heated culture war front. In response to the decision of an actor named Ellen Elliott Page. I am employing this awkward and impossible naming style because it is now apparently mandatory and am probably doing it wrong nonetheless, as you're doing it wrong is the whole point of what has been made mandatory. But also, I'm trying to make a point. I've essentially been banned from Twitter as a consequence. I say banned, although technically I have been suspended. But the suspension will not be lifted unless I delete the hateful tweet in question, and I would rather die than do that. And hopefully it will not come to that, although who the hell knows in these increasingly strange days. I'm not taking down that tweet or acknowledging that my tweet violated the Twitter rules. Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who. Twitter's a rat hole in the final analysis, and I have probably contributed to that while trying to use, understand, and master that horrible, toxic platform. No doubt, I owe some apologies for that, and I'm trying to learn, but it's a relief in some real sense to be banned, and I regard it under the present conditions as a badge of honor.
Hey, what's going on, John?
How you doing?
I'm all right.
Hear me okay? I'm having a little technical difficulties on this end.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you fine. So, did you see the first part of the video?
I just caught the end of it, but I saw a lot of it already.
Okay, yeah. There's about two other videos, sections to it. So, let's just say he's a little upset.
Well, yeah, it's funny. I think they waited until after he was really sick for a long time. And I think they were saying, he's not on his deathbed anymore. And so let's wait until we find something and then we'll just get rid of him. And I think that's exactly what happened. That just pick one, it's like pick a reason, and that trans stuff is on the top of their list. So, but here's the thing though. I mean, it's, if you do the same thing over and over and over and expect a different result, that's the definition of insanity and or stupidity. How many prominent people are they going to cancel? And almost every single one of them gets bigger and stronger and better without Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you got to do? How do you get through to somebody that you just can't get through to? I don't know what. Even if Elon Musk stepped in now and they gave it back to him, he probably wouldn't come back.
Yeah.
Now Trump had True Social, so he's got a place to go. But now so does Jordan.
Yeah, he can go True Social. He can go to Getter. He can go to any of those platforms.
Well, he doesn't. He's got the biggest conservative platform in the world now. Duh.
I'm talking about Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The Daily Wire. Yeah. Daily Wire reaches more millions of people, especially the audience that Jordan wants to connect with.
Yeah.
Basically young men. Now women too, but his vast majority is men between like 16 and 35. And I don't know the Daily Wire, stats, but I bet you they're awful close.
Yeah, probably.
It's like, do me a favor, get rid of me,
Yeah.
Mr. Mike.
What'd I miss?
We're talking about Jordan Peterson getting suspended off YouTube. He's going to consider it a ban because he's not going to take down the tweet he put up. So,
YouTube or Twitter, you mean?
I meant Twitter. Twitter.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the sinister part. They say, we'll let you back on if you admit you were wrong and delete it. So that's like saying in court, the judge will say, well, if you admit you were wrong and plead guilty, we won't send you to jail. I'm like, well, no, that's not the way it works.
Yeah, sometimes you like to, maybe this was coordinated and he knew that he was going to be on, he got a contract or signed an agreement with Daily Wire, like they're officially, when you sign these contracts, it's like, now you're exclusively with us. And, you have to, if you're going to go out and speak or be a guest on something, now you represent Daily Wire officially. And it's like, oh, this is a good kind of simultaneous publicity thing. I don't think it was that. I don't think he's like, I'm going to put this tweet up and they're going to ban it. I absolutely don't think that happened. But the timing of things, it just must be like God is in control, right? Here now, Jordan Peterson is in the headlines again because he got banned from Twitter, and just so happens at the same time we announce he gets signed with Daily Wire. It works.
Well, Dennis Prager got signed too, so I think that was just a coincidence.
I believe it. Well,
yeah,
that word coincidence
or intervention, depending how you look at it.
Right. So it's like, I don't think it was coordinated like intentionally, but I mean, I don't think it was coordinated intentionally by Jordan Peterson and Daily Wire, but it's hard to argue against God coordinating things like this, right? It's like,
yeah, but we when you just before we got on the air, I said to Matt, I says, how many are these morons going to shoot themselves in the foot before they realize they're giving him a bigger. Now he'll probably still have all his YouTube videos. I don't think he's barred from, but
YouTube.
He could have used Twitter to promote his videos on Daily Wire. He could have left links in Twitter to bring the audience up, stuff like that. He won't be able to do, but it's like Project Veritas. They trend all the time on Twitter, and they've been barred from there for months.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Well, I got a question for you guys. So it's kind of on topic. One of the guys, I do a show on Friday with Doug Tenaple and Quentin from Out of the Darkness. And in our last episode, Quentin Q was saying he thinks gas prices are going to come back down by November. And I understand the point he makes that, and he even said, this happens all the time. It's the Democrats will pull whatever strings they have in order to, have some good news before the midterm elections.
Strings with the oil companies? Good luck.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, it was toward the end of our episode. It wasn't anything that we were discussing, or it was just, he was commenting on that. And I was like, I was saying the opposite. I'm like, I think gas prices are going to double again. I don't know when. And it could even get worse. I don't know. But when he said that, I'm like, okay, yes, the federal government has certain powers and the executive branch has certain powers, but over gas prices right now, when they've shut down refineries, when they've shut down the pipeline, when they've suspended leases and not renewed leases, and they're blaming gas stations and oil companies for being greedy. And it's like, there's only so much that they can do. They've already shot.
I remember in the 70s when Nixon was president, the wage and price freezes. I think Carter did it too. If he pulls something like, I'm going to do a congressional or executive order freezing gas prices, I'll tell you, I remember I stood in line. I stood in line to get gas. I sat in line for hours years ago. They're going to stop drilling.
Right.
So you're going to have high prices and no gas.
Well, they're already starting to slow down drilling because ESG, they can't even get loans because of it. No. And it's also affecting not only ESG is not only affecting oil field companies, it's also affecting arms dealers like Remington, anyone that makes guns, bullets. It's affecting them too because
what's ESG?
ESG is a social credit score that the banks are using now. It's kind of
That's right. And
it's keeping them from getting loans so they could actually drill and stuff like that.
Well,
now, I don't know if you.
Is that all banks? Is that all banks or just some?
All banks? Now in West Virginia, they have laws against ESG. That's the only state in the union that has that. Now, when it comes to leasing, I don't know if you saw this article. I saw it in. I can't remember where I saw it from now, but the Biden administration is allowing 11 leases on offshore drilling in the next 5 years. 11. 10 in the Gulf of Mexico and 1 off the coast of Alaska, and that's it. So when I heard that, I was like, well, that's not going to help gas go down. Because
right.
That's going to limit the amount of gas and oil they're going to be able to get.
And what was the federal tax? 18 cents?
Yeah.
Now, see, I'm in New York, like California, like you are, Mike. It's high. I forget what it is in New York. It's like double, I think, the federal tax.
Yeah, well, and that's the reason, when I hear people saying $5 gallon gas prices, and I'm looking at the pump going like $6.50, right? I'm looking at $6.50. That's all, the big bulk of that is state and federal taxes higher here than anywhere else. That's why
New York waived half of their tax until January 1.
Well, it's a pittance, and Q was talking about it coming back down to $3 a gallon. I'm like, I don't see it. And what he said, and here's the only support he gave for that is, they're going to release the reserves. I'm like, reserves? That's nothing, right? Our reserves are nothing.
The reserves the release were a day and a half.
Right, exactly.
He's been releasing I believe 1 million barrels a day for a while.
Yeah, he's already been doing that. So. And it just reminded me that the Democrats have backed themselves so deep into a corner. It's not politics as usual anymore. They've pulled out all the stops. They've flown so far left that there are no regular procedures that they can use. There may be a few that they'll try desperately, but it's too late. I feel like I got to step out here a second. Just take me off screen. I'll pop back in here in a sec.
Okay. Matt knows about it more than I do, but to get back online for these oil companies is going to take months. Oh
yeah. It would take, it might take years for them to get back on, because they would have to find people to hire. You also have to get everything back where it's in good condition, because whenever they stack out a rig, when they call it stacking out, that means they find a place to put it in, like a stockyard or something like that, stack it out. Once that happens, a lot of the stuff on there gets rained on. They don't cover it up.
They don't leave the rig. They don't leave the rig there and just turn it back on.
No. They have to take it off site
and
stack it out. They cap it, stack it out.
I didn't know that part. Okay.
And when they do that, over time, metal gets it has to be replaced after a while, because a lot of the rig has copper. Not only that, some people get in there and steal all the copper off the rigs.
Well, my house got busted a couple of years ago, and I live here. They took the copper out of my basement. But that would be really cool. And I'm just speculating, just because we're just shooting a breeze here. Trump gets a hold of the Saudi Arabia connections in the Middle East and says, let's put a deal together to help out the U.S., pump some more oil, and give me credit. Oh, my God. They would go nuts. They would go insane. Well, President Trump came to visit the Saudi prince today, and they agreed to help out America. I don't know what Biden would do.
Well, they'd probably charge him for the Logan Act. Probably what they'll do. If I had to guess, that'd be my guess what they'll do.
Well, maybe he's got some oil stock. There's probably a way around it, I'm sure. The Logan Act. That's like the don't spit off of your horse and buggy on the sidewalk from 1840, and then they decided to enforce the law.
Yeah. Well,
don't bake an apple pie in the window. I think in Indiana there's a law you can't put an apple pie in the window on Sunday.
Well, I would find that funny, because especially since Saudi Arabia is not even willing to take a phone call from Joe Biden.
Oh, they will from Trump. They love him.
They will from Trump, but not from Joe Biden. As soon as Joe Biden got in office, he was talking about Saudis government being a stain in the Middle
Yeah,
East.
what was the
and so on
word
and
he
so forth.
used? I forgot. It wasn't very. And
it
then
wasn't-
turned around 2 days later and asked him to do me a favor.
Yeah. Yep. It
It's
blew
like
up in
the
his
old joke.
face.
It's like the old New Jersey guys. Your sister is blankety blank blank. I don't believe it. I'm just saying, I'm just saying. Don't get mad.
Then you have him trying to get some oil from Venezuela, which
Oh, why don't we just get it from North Korea?
yeah, why not? Yeah, I mean,
How about China?
oh,
I gotta say, I can't say it like Trump does. China. I
China.
can't say.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you the truth. You know what Trump should do? He's got contacts. Get a hold of the Oval Office and say, "Hey, Joe, Don Trump here. How you doing? I'll sit down with the Saudis if you want me to." What's Biden gonna do? He says no. Trump will say, "Okay, my president wouldn't let me do it. He's not breaking the Logan Act."
Yep.
And if he says yes, I get credit for it. I'm sure there's somebody down there in his staff that's thinking of that right now.
I don't know.
Well, maybe somebody hears this. They know somebody. Give them a call. That'd be awesome.
Guess what I was just doing?
Getting your $650 gas.
Trying to fill up my gas tank. I gave her $100 bill.
And didn't make it.
Guess how much change I got?
None.
0. Seriously.
It's prepay. Yeah.
I went in, because I always find there's one gas station, it's the cheapest around, and it's 609 at this gas station. If you pay cash, it's 620, and this is the cheap gas. Right down the street, it's 650, 680, whatever. And even at 609, $100 did not fill my tank.
What kind of car you got?
It's
You got a Sherman tank?
It's a Honda Odyssey. It's a van.
Okay.
So
okay.
it's like an 18-gallon tank, and I got up to about almost 17 gallons.
I got a Honda Ridgeline, so it's the same size tank as mine.
Yeah, I got rid of my van. I got a Chevy Equinox. So,
well,
it's like 34 on the highway.
So, what were you guys talking about when I interrupted?
We're talking about kidding around about Trump. He couldn't go to Saudi Arabia and say, "Can you guys print some?" Because of the Logan Act. So, Matt and I were just saying, Trump's people ought to call the White House and say, "Hey, Joe, I'll sit down with the Saudi prince. I'm buddies with him. You give me the okay, and if he says no, he'll make it public." It's one of those deals you can't lose.
Slightly shifting gears. I read an article this morning. I don't remember what periodical it was in. I found it in Real Clear Politics, the aggregating site that aggregates headlines.
Oh yeah,
and it was something to the effect of by the numbers. It was like, by the numbers, this is, what the midterms are going to be. By the numbers, and it broke down like 6 different numbers, and one of the numbers, we all believe that it's going to be a red wave, it's going to be historic. And there was one thing in these, anybody who's been following it knows some of the numbers that we're talking about.
Right.
One of the numbers I didn't realize, he said there has been an upper limit for Republicans in the last essentially 100 years of midterms. Just for midterms, there's been an upper threshold of seats. The most seats that Republicans have had after a midterm in the House is 247. 247 seats is the most. For us to get to 247, which is it's the upper threshold, we need to win 34 seats.
Oh,
so
247 seats total.
Tells you what we've been hearing.
Right.
Am I breaking up?
Well, you're saying now when you said 247, you mean that's what they end up with after the midterms?
Right after the midterm election, the most we've had is 247.
Right.
For us to get to 247 now
Need
for
34.
Republicans.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny part is, I mean, I watch that one channel, that Radio Politics. He's a nice kid. He likes to crunch numbers. And he said out of the 32 swing districts, congressional districts, 28 of them are Democrats. 28 out of 32. It's not even counting the rest. And he also said, historically, with the aggregate of all the polls, if the Republicans are down in a generic ballot -5, they win the House at -5. They're at +8 or 9.
Yeah.
They win with -5, but that's a 13-point swing. That's a bloodbath. Did you see what happened to Ilhan Omar over the weekend?
Yes.
She went to some rap thing with a bunch of Somali people, and they booed her off the stage. F you this, screaming at her. Her own people from Somalia in Minneapolis were booing her off the stage.
And you know why, right?
Well, because of the LGBT and the other stuff. I mean, yeah, they're Muslim. It's like Hispanics. They're devout Catholics.
Right.
Muslim people have similar beliefs in a lot of things. They don't put up with that.
Yeah. Well, one of the Muslim world refers to the U.S., at least the extremists, like the Islamicists, the extremists, and I hesitate to call them extremists. They're just being true to the original interpretation of their scriptures. But they refer to us as the Satan, and one of their rationales. One of their rationales is we kill babies over here, right? We kill babies. That's satanic, absolutely, right? So
I got in an argument with somebody the other day concerning the abortion issue, and I said, how you look down on the slaveholders, all the founding fathers, and this and that, how you think of them, they're disgusting human beings. 50 years from now, what are they going to think of you?
Yeah.
Oof. Think about that for a minute. You're using the same arguments for abortion as the slavery people did. What do you think your granddaughter's going to think about you? They're going to think the same. And she looked at me like she got a little scared and went, "Yeah, I never thought of that, did you?"
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, it's the same side of the aisle. All right, it's the same side of the aisle. All these issues. It's not like Republicans were, fighting against releasing the slaves, and Republicans were opposed to the civil rights. Right?
What did the one guy say? He says, the Democrats are the same soup, just reheated.
Yeah.
and they don't see it. Here's the one thing I'll tell you. Republicans are guilty of this too. But Democrats especially, they are so self-unaware. It's staggering.
Yeah.
Absolutely staggering how self-unaware they are.
Well, here, I love this. So the apparently the trends are blue states are gaining back their blue voters, and the red states are losing those blue voters because of the Roe versus Wade decision. So the red states are getting a little redder, and like Steve Turley said, that what was trending, or one thing that was trending was how to renounce or how to move to Canada, right? How to lose your U.S. citizenship was up. The searches for that was up like 800% over the past week or so.
Well, we're still waiting for all the movie stars and big shots to move from 2016 election.
Yeah,
we're still waiting for them to leave.
But on this issue, the demographics on these issues of the LGBTQ and abortion,
right,
and environmentalism that says stop having children, it's like the people that believe that, if they believe that and follow that, they're going to go away, right?
Yep.
There's just going to be fewer and fewer of them, and they're going to lose more and more and more. That's
like the baby boomers are like me are going to age out. It's just a matter of time before we're gone.
Yeah.
But
if you stop having children,
yeah.
I mean, I know I'm about to go through a bad cell zone again, so I'm gonna toss it back to you guys.
I got something to show you guys. I put on my community post. I thought it went with what we're talking about.
Oh yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I pulled one up. I pulled one up. I think it was yesterday, where it shows some protester, and it shows her picture, and it says, "I'm a vegan because I don't eat eggs because they're baby chicks." But she'll turn around and say that a pregnant woman isn't really a baby; it's just a couple of cells.
Yeah. It says
You know,
the people who once called our soldiers baby killers now march for the right to kill babies.
Woo.
there's a video of a blonde haired girl. I put in one of my episodes on my YouTube channel. You can find it on Twitter somewhere, and you could tell she was late 20s, early 30s, and she said, I went along with the compromise, even though I didn't like it. I can see a teenage girl being scared. I can see a drug addict. Not, she goes, I can see all of that. And I put up with it for the first trimester, maybe a little bit over. But you guys wanted it all. You wanted to the moment of birth. So guess what? You did it to yourselves, and you lost.
Yep. I actually played that video on here.
Oh, okay. She's real cute, blonde hair girl. Yeah, she's very articulate.
Yep.
I don't know if she read a script or not, but she sounded, she was exactly right.
Yep. Yep.
And that's why the abortion bill didn't pass in Congress. They added all this extra stuff on it. These people don't know how to compromise.
Manchin said this is not codifying Roe versus Wade. This is going a step further than what it was before, and it's actually more indicative of what California and New York wants more than what the center of the country wants.
Yeah, well, the only thing that I don't go along with some of the states when they changed the law when it got triggered, Roe v. Wade was overturned, was if somebody, say, leaves the state of Arkansas and goes to New York and has one, and they come back, they can be charged. They'll never pass court muster. You can't do that. That's the only thing I disagree with. The states have the right. The states have the right. Here's the amazing part. Ask anybody, Mike, you live in California. The state has the right to bring in illegals. Okay. All right. How about the other way around? The states get to decide an abortion. Well, wait a minute. These guys want it like 8 different ways. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just out of control.
I had to. So I don't know if it's come out in my show with Doug and Quentin. I don't know. Like my daughter, I have a 20-year-old daughter, and she chimed in while I was recording that episode. She just heard what I was saying. This was back a couple weeks ago, and so it's come out. My daughter she's an SJW. She's caught up in that frenzy. But yesterday, we were driving around somewhere, and the conversation came up about illegals. I think my wife brought it up. Illegal aliens coming in and taking these low-paying jobs. And my wife is a little bit left too. She doesn't agree with me on much, but she was mentioning that, and my daughter was in the back seat. And I mentioned, well, I said, yeah, they come in and they take the jobs of the lower income earners right now, the people that are at the bottom of our economy. And I said it, it's like they take the jobs from the lower income. Who is that? The Hispanics and the African-American citizens of the United States. And my daughter agreed. And then she goes into, yeah, but they should all be paid what they're worth. And I'm like, oh, who determines what they're worth? And that was the end of the conversation. She's like, put her earbuds in. She just can't have an argument, right?
I mean, the first thing that I learned when I was a businessman, but I knew this before, is why is your health worth so much? How about your car? How about a shirt? It's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. Period.
All right, guys. Before we run out of time, I want to go ahead and let you guys know about the newsletter. It came out on July 4th. www.thiswaynetwork.com. You can go and check it out and sign up for the newsletter. We'll put one out every month. And don't forget to watch the next show. It will be Let's Jam with Don Riddell.
Nice.
Well, I have a new saying. I used to say, God bless America all the time, but now I'm going to say, God, please save America. God save America.
All right. We see y'all later.
All
Take
right.
care,